Welcome everyone to another informative travel market report webinar brought to you by our very good friends at BranchUp. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We know how busy you are. We truly appreciate your time. My name is Brian Israel. I am the publisher of Travel Market Report. I'll be your moderator for today. In just a few short moments, I'll be turning it over to John Felice, VP of Marketing at BranchUp, Philip Archer, Chief Experience Designer at Roaming Richly Travel, Denise Wiggins, Global Executive Advisor for Denise Wiggins Travel Services, affiliate of Current Travel, and Angela Hughes, CEO, Trips and Ships Luxury Travel, who will be having a lively hot seat panel, fireside chat, featuring, and all of the folks I just introduced are members of BranchUp's advisory board, who will all be discussing what experienced advisors are doing to prepare for what the future may hold, and how we can continue to inspire your customers to make plans to travel. Just a couple things before we begin. We will be raffling off one $300 gift card at the end of the webinar. As you know, you must be on it at the end when we do the drawing, so please stay with us for the 60 minutes. We always want this to be an interactive session, so please, as the conversation is happening, send in any questions or comments that you have. We will try to do our best to get to some of those questions and comments live, but if we don't, I promise you somebody from the BranchUp team will be in touch with you shortly to respond to either your question or your comment. And lastly, we will be hosting the webinar on demand on travelmarketreport.com, which means we are recording it and we are going to send you the link to the recording once we wrap up later this afternoon. So if you miss anything, you can always go back to the recording. And we do ask that you send it over to any of your advisor colleagues that you think this might be useful information. These are some impactful folks in our industry, and I have a feeling you're going to get a lot out of it, and I feel like everyone else can get a lot out of it as well. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to John and his advisory board panel.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. I want to start with just a quick around the table because the reason our guests are with us today is they've been there, done that in terms of experience. So Denise, if you don't mind, I'll start with you and just give us a quick background on yourself, where you've been, where you are, and where you're going.
Absolutely. I am Denise Wiggins. I am a seasoned travel professional. I have been 40 years in the industry and proud of it. I started when I was in my teens, and I have been across the board from association to corporate to marketing and trade shows and independent travel advisor, just a nice potpourri of things in my toolkit. And right now, my main focuses are wellness and luxury, generational travel, as well as church mission groups.
Fantastic. Angela, what about yourself? Give us a brief bio.
And brief it will be. 40 years in the business. I have a master's degree in geography, tourism from Brigham Young University. I'm a professor, former professor, and I run a host agency with about 140 advisors in Orlando. So.
Fantastic. Philip, can you keep that in under 400 words or less?
Never. But bonjour from beautiful Paris. So my background here is a lovely backdrop of my hotel room, but I am Philip Archer with Roaming Richly Travel. I'm the baby of the group. I've only been doing this for 20 years, coming July, but I'm an accidental travel agent. I spent 35 years in luxury real estate and started a travel agency 20 years ago, and we have offices in California, where I am, in Belmont. We have Dallas, we have Houston, and we have Las Vegas. And we've just really leaned into luxury travel and loved it. So took my passion for traveling and made it into a moneymaker.
That's awesome. Passion is a word I hear a lot in this business. So whether you're on the call today as a newer advisor or someone who's been around the block a few times with these three, 40 years, I think you're going to get a lot out of this today. And so let's jump into it. When we first talked about doing this session, there was a great deal of uncertainty. Stock market was in flux, and people were reporting a real slowdown. And so what I want to talk about today is when things are uncertain, what do you do to keep your business going, stay positive, and reassure your clients? So Angela, if you don't mind, I'll start with you on that. You know, having been through the trials and tribulations of everything from COVID to economics, yeah, what are the important things that we need to do?
Yeah, listen up, but you have to be locked and loaded at all times for the next thing, because if it happened 6 weeks ago, it'll happen in 12 months again. This is an industry that rides the stock market, and it rides geographical and political and economic turmoil. And so all it takes is one bomb to drop and something could change. We saw that with Israel a couple of years ago. All it takes is one boost in the stock market and we can see a boost in sales. And so you can't play it as like, oh my gosh, it's doomsday. You know, I'm done. This is a correction. It happened. Numbers are going up right now. And so what we were saying 6 weeks ago, and I wrote about it nationally, you know, like, hey, we're correcting, get ready. This is happening. You know, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see an article come out saying, hey, we're through it, get going again, you know. And we saw some people panic. This isn't, you know, you don't need to panic. You need to be ready and you need to be secure in your systems and tools. And BranchUp is one of them to help you with that, and be ready to just thrive and not get depressed and not get down and out. You have to be locked and loaded, and you use these interim times as preparation to be better.
Awesome. Picking up on that, Denise, one of the things that I have experienced over the years is when things like we just experienced were going on, we're reluctant to touch base with our customers. Where do you sit on sort of that strategy of, you know, phone's not ringing, it does dial two ways. Tell us a little bit about your experience that way.
Yeah, based on my particular personality, you know, I stand in my power and I dig in and I remind myself that I am the expert, that I have the confidence and the knowledge and so forth and wisdom, and that's a gift to give to people. And so I find the reach outs can be so beneficial and so fruitful. So the reach outs can be anything from general email, text, voicemail, etc., but also inserting yourself into the community. How do you do that? You can get involved in organizations, you can get involved in events, you can go and be a part of various things that are taking place within your township and so forth, and you start showing up. So I think it's a balance of making sure that you understand and you're happy with who you are as a professional, that you have an offering, you have a service, and that you keep a positive approach to it, because you do have something to offer. And it makes a difference when you're engaging and inserting yourself and not staying behind a computer, which we know so many folks still do, and that's okay, but it's time to get out. I encourage anyone here who's, you know, you go to work with a screen or a phone and you're not touching base or getting to know your neighbors, your community, your church, your whoever it might be, because even at the grocery store, I have had 2 clients because of grocery store interactions and we didn't even know each other. So it's everywhere. There's a need. People have travel desires and needs and wishes. So don't wait for the ask as much as asking the ask.
Yeah, Philip, you know, obviously with your real estate background, what Denise has just said applies there as well. But what would you add to what Angela and Denise have just said?
You know, I absolutely, it was so funny that you say that because I went right to my real estate background. I remember getting into real estate in the worst market we'd seen in 30, 40 years. And, you know, people would sit around the cooler or the coffee pot and eat donuts and complain about the fact that nobody was buying houses, right? And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not why I got in this business. And so I went out and previewed houses, and, you know, and I would come back and talk to people about it. You know, back then we didn't have social media, you know, and things like that. But I do the same thing today. You know, when things started turning last year, we didn't have a crystal ball. So we're all just trying to go with our gut. Like, what do we think is going to happen, right? If people get afraid or uncomfortable, we're going to have a change. And so we did the best we could. But you have seen me the last 6 months, literally nonstop on some sort of trip every couple of weeks, promoting travel to people. Even in the worst times, People are going to buy things. I mean, there's always going to be something that somebody needs or wants that is going to need to be bought. And if you're the person out there in front leading the way and letting them know that it's okay to make that purchase or the benefits of making that purchase so that they can make a better decision, you're going to be top of mind and you're probably going to get more of what business is out there. So, you know, the one thing that I would just like to remind people is it doesn't really matter what's going on in the world. Everything that y'all have said is absolutely spot on. You cannot hide from it. So you need to just jump out there and take it on. You know, the best time for you to promote yourself as a travel professional is when people are not sure if they want to travel, because you can go out and show them why travel is important. You can share your enthusiasm and your passion with them. You know, you can help them find a way. You know, I think some of the best work that I have done in my entire career has been having somebody come to me and say, I really want to do this, but I don't know how to do it with my budget, and be able to actually go, you know what, we can make this happen. So, you know, it is time. This is the best time for people to be sharpening the saw, going out and getting the training that they need to be better at what they do, and to make sure that everybody out there knows that they're doing it and see them doing it.
Merci, Philippe.
Absolutely.
And John,
I
might just add real quick, one of the things
Sure.
that I think is helpful when I think back to a few years ago is I did go to Staples. I quickly put my picture on an updated card, and I started circulating my business card with my picture on it. And I said, when we get back to travel, so this was back then, when we get back to travel and you think about your trips and where you want to go, I'm going to be there for you. Just so you know, I'm doing all the education behind the scenes. And that has one of the most wonderful things to hear is people like, I put your business card on my fridge. You took a nice picture.
Fantastic.
They like
Yeah. And sort of picking up on what Philip had to say there, enthusiastic travelers, if they're not booked and they're not on a trip, they're dreaming of where next. And I think that's a really important part of what we do. So Angela, what are you seeing in your business now? What are people inquiring about, booking? What are you focusing on? Are you niching down in any certain areas? What's the overall business trend?
Yeah, our agency is premium and luxury. You know, we're trying to scale even new advisors into those arenas. And so we're across the board probably seeing our biggest uptick in the river cruise business right now, because I think ASTA has done such a great job of exposing so many new advisors to river cruising, but we're also seeing the demand of river cruising be so super hot, you know, and we've seen that because, you know, on the vendor side as well, with so many new brands coming into in the river marketplace, that is almost scary for such a small river and small villages, you know, with over tourism and population. I'm always concerned about that. But, you know, I saw the numbers yesterday that with Travel Leaders Network alone, that's a 27 to 29% increase in river cruise market, you know, this year, just within their network. And the other thing is the cruise business. I always tell my advisors, like, you know, I'll have advisors be like, I don't like to cruise, I just like to do land. And I'm like, I don't care what you like to do as an advisor. You get to know what your clients want to do. If you know, everybody loves a private tour and a private helicopter and a private guide and, you know, the best hotels on land. But guess what? This is America. People like to cruise. And if you know, we just experienced a really great wave season minus March with the economy, you know, having that little slump. But cruising's like over 40% popularity right now, and the younger generation is switching to that as well. And so we've seen younger people want to cruise, where it mostly was like your 50 plus neighbors that were wanting to do that, or families. But we're seeing young generation now moving into the cruise segment. Now, of course, we're always going to see strong land. You know, we're still going to see our strong countries. And John, a little bit before this started, we were talking about how just the dollar is going to weigh into that, as we have a falling currency right now with the US dollar. You know, the yen is picking up. And again, like with Japan, we've had our biggest years with Japan we've ever seen. I spent 2 years living there. It used to cost $30 to, you know, buy one watermelon. And people could not take their families young people did not travel there. You went there maybe in your late 60s or something if you wanted to go to Japan. Now we've seen a lot of family travel. We've seen heavy Asian years, Japan years, but you're going to see a falling dollar with the yen. I mean, they've been trying to adjust that for the last year. And the EU, I mean, obviously the euro is picking up steam now, where I think like last week when I checked, we were about at $1.07 or at 117 to 1 in the EU. And that's going to have impact every time you're seeing lower, you're seeing open airline seats and lower prices in air slightly dip there, but you're seeing higher prices for that cup of cappuccino, almost 20% higher. So.
What about yourself, Denise? What are you seeing in the business? Any particular groups that are?
Yeah, hands down, without any question, it is specialty interest. It is just booming, and maybe because I have 3 kids who are in the millennial, young adult, 25 to 31 years of age, because they do send it to me, but it is specialty interest. So that's everything from, music festivals, no longer in your backyard. Hey, let's hike it over to London to the O2. Let's go to the Red Rocks in Colorado. Let's make it a bigger thing. It's adventure-like. It's for well-being. I mean, my kids and their whole network, it's all about the well-being and the balance and the happiness. And it's not the touchy things as much as it is the experience of being camaraderie and community and love and so forth. And I applaud them because they are looking for happiness. They are looking for, being in the moment. And basically are saying to us, who the generation above, like, you guys got it all wrong. So it's really, really upticked. And that's everything from music to, sport groups to like foodies, whatever. It's like, give us something unique and special, a very special interest type thing on this globe, on this planet. And with full transparency, I have 2 additional businesses. So my hats interweave for travel very, very nicely. And that helps my business because I'm getting audiences and networks from these groups, and they're just complementing one another. But this has been going strong since fall of 2022. And it just, I give them one experience and they're like, we loved it. Let's do something else. So I encourage our listeners to really think about, if you have personal passions or hobbies or interests, kind of leverage those, or find out your touch points in your community or through your children or otherwise, and see if you can tap into that and say, hey, you know what, I can offer this type of business or travel for you.
Awesome. Philip, picking up on that a little bit, there's a 1 or 2 generations that have a lot of the money, and then there's some generations that have all of the enthusiasm that Denise was talking about. What are you seeing in that multi-gen market, or are you seeing the different generations booking differently?
I have seen, and I have a lot of multi-gen clients. I have seen more big ticket multi-gen. I just was on a Bordeaux River cruise. I took the train in this morning from Bordeaux, and there were multi-gen families on a Bordeaux River cruise. I mean, we never saw that before, like ever. I mean, I used to be on the Bordeaux, I would be the youngest person on the boat, right? So like, I was like, this is amazing. I mean, it's so cool to see that. But what I'm seeing is that, people are wanting to travel together in groups, either as families or in groups of people that they love, to go really cool places, and they don't mind spending money on it. So, along with what Denise and Angela said and what we've been talking about, we do all, lean a little towards the higher end. And, it has been very, for me, my higher end has been insulated from what's going on, because they're like, when I thought I was going to hear my clients say, maybe I won't go business this trip, or maybe I won't, spend the money on that, they're actually coming back and going, if I'm going to have to sit through what we're sitting through right now, I'm going to spend money on myself. And I'm like, amen, you know, because I mean, that's what I do. I mean, you know, when I look at things that make me unhappy, I'm like, you know what, going to Bordeaux will make me happy. So I will go. And we, you know, as professionals in the industry, we, you know, we're ambassadors for travel. And so, you know, again, just being out there is really the most important thing that you can do. To piggyback on what Denise said, you know, getting into those groups, you know, you absolutely have to be in the room. You know, you cannot talk about or talk to the room from far away. If you want the room to work for you, you have to be in the room. And so, you know, don't stand there and go to the art museum by yourself when nobody's there. Go to the art museum when they're having music and a reception and there's 500 people there that you can network with. You know, join the museum, become a member, support their stuff, get to know their other members. You know, if you're in junior league or if you support the SPCA, that's your room. But you should be the expert in that room on travel. When somebody says something about travel, that room should go silent and everybody should turn around and look at you. And if they're not doing that, you're not working your room right, you know, and we can focus on that on another one. But what I will tell you is, this is the time for you to be getting in that room. And these are the people who can tell you what to do when you get there. So this is absolutely the time to be sharpening your saw. And if you're saying, I don't have time, we've created BranchUp so that you can go out to that room and it will still be posting for you while you're there. So I've been in France for the last, you know, week and a half, and I can assure you that people have been seeing a lot more than my France trip. You know, they've been seeing all of my automated, you know, reels and other things on BranchUp. It's, you know, they're seeing everything. But this, you know, there's never a time when you should not be out there promoting travel and promoting the great memories and the amazing feelings that you get when you come back from a wonderful trip or vacation.
I think he just became Alexander Hamilton. You know, we got to be in the room where it happened. Philip, now we're going to have a statue for him next to Hamilton. Mic drop.
Yeah, awesome. I was watching Denise and Angela nodding and smiling, and Philip, you're lucky they didn't interject. So I'll turn it over to Angela and Denise. Just pick up on it, like what was going through your mind in terms of what Philip was talking about. Because one of the things I believe is, you know, um, you don't need 1 million customers to be very successful in this business, correct? So yeah, so just to share your thoughts of what came through your mind as Philip was speaking there.
Yeah, well, the thing that came into my mind, well, let me go off of what you said. First of all, you don't need 1 million customers, you need the right customers. And that's what I love. So, and again, back to your comment, Philip, on BranchUp, that's why I use it too, is because, you know, it's posting, it's really, I want people to be inspired. We're inspiring people. Too many advisors try to sell people, and we need to be storytellers and we need to be inspirational. And like Philip said, in the room where it happens. And when you're showcasing that, it comes with an investment. And that's what younger advisors and even older advisors don't put into the game, is they come in very short-sighted, the short game. They want instant return. They want really super high commissions. They don't want to make the investment. And so I always tell people, like, this is long game. Long game wins. It's relationships. It's supplier relationships. You're building on platforms. You're building with the right brands. It's bigger than just making a sale and getting 100% or 90% commission or whatever you think that, you know, the transaction is. So I'll just leave it there. I'm in the room where it happens.
I'm going to just play off of, for sure, hands down, multi-generational travel is gold. It is just pure gold. We've got the boomers, you know, they're just a beautiful group, and they are all about the giving heart to their families. I have 3 sets of families. We have a 21 group, we have an 18 family group, and I have a 14 family group. And they have been booking with me consistently for the last 4 years. And it's not stopping any soon, and it's very lucrative. I had no idea. I did not know these 3, the leader of the packs. I did not know them. It was through referral business. So two things. Referral business is all about the ask. So ask your current clients to spread the news about who you are and share with them the trip experience that you had. And also ask your neighbors. I mean, just you got to put it out to the universe in order to get it back. So referrals are key. And with regard to multi-generational, do not ever think that there's someone who wouldn't have that interest in doing so. You might have to do the offering to say, hey, have you ever thought about a multi-generational river cruise? We've got some great rates, we've got some great itineraries, etc. And I always wanted to do that. You know, do we think I could afford it? Well, let's take a look. It goes back to, you know, let's sit down, let's have the conversation, but you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's what people are still, there's a group of, or a percent of people who still kind of like, I can't afford travel. You know, I hear that airfare is just steep, you know, and there's no way I could ever do a river cruise. So you hear that and that becomes their blueprint. So you have to step in and help them see the light and understand, and whether that's a webinar, a Zoom, in person, out to lunch, some type of local event, that's how you start doing it. And sometimes they might not come to the room, but their neighbor did. And now the neighbor lets them know. So it's a funny circle how it all comes about, but the majority of my people, I don't know. They live everywhere across this globe, and they are referrals, and I do offer a referral reward. So I most definitely
said the best thing is, you know, reaching out to the client, because and Denise said that you don't know what you don't know, and you have to be asking. This is a sales job, people. I mean, you need to go out and ask people. Too many people are like, hey, the phone's not ringing, it's slow. And I'll say to my advisors, well, go call 25 people, touch base, drop something in their text message, be alive. You know, come to live. You know, posting on social media is not enough. So that's top of the funnel. We need to like drip content to people. We need to get them excited. We need to show them. So
one of the core things that we taught when we were building Expedia cruise ship centers was wear your name badge, because people see your name badge, they see you, Brent. It's like, oh, you sell travel. Yeah. But Angela, I want to pick up just real quickly on what you said earlier about advisors and land, and it's very similar to what Denise said. And one of the things I think that we have to be very careful is we don't sell out of our own wallet, and we don't sell the menu that we want to eat, right? You wouldn't open a restaurant and say, I'm only serving, you know, alligator chicken wings. And so how can we as advisors, really get in that mindset that it's not about me, it's not where I've been, what I've enjoyed traveling, but how do I dig into what people want? And Philip, I'll throw that for you to answer first, and then we'll kind of go around the horn. Like, what are the strategies to really get to understand someone's dream and then uncover that, oh, my dream is actually to take the whole family to Antarctica?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. Thank you for that. And I'll tell you, you know, I know Denise and Angela, and we're all salespeople, right? Because we've been doing this for a very long time in a multitude line of businesses. But do you know what makes a great travel agent or a great realtor or a great anybody in sales? They're matchmakers. You know, yeah, I would love for you to come on the stuff I do whenever you want to come, but I know that what I do is not necessarily what Angela wants to do every day, or Denise, or you. I mean, we would all go because we would just want to hang out together, right? It would be the people.
that's how we met in Iceland
Right,
together.
you
were there and I was there on the same ship. Yeah.
We met on a cruise ship in Iceland. Like, and then it was like, we didn't even know we were both in travel. And then there we were in the hot tub, and our husbands were like, oh, Jesus, now they're talking travel. But you know, we're matchmakers. We interview our clients and we get to know them. And you need to know what kind of hotel they like to stay in. You need to know what their last trip was. They may go on and on and on about a trip, but it may not have been their favorite trip, right? You need to know what their favorite trip was and why was it their favorite trip. Was it their favorite trip because they had 1,000 thread count sheets, or was it their favorite trip because they walked out on their balcony and they overlooked a beautiful river with deer behind it? I mean, you need to know why. You need to ask those questions. You need to have a very thorough interview so that you can develop a rapport with your client so that they trust you enough to tell you honestly what they want to experience. Our job is to deliver outcomes. The vehicle we use to deliver those outcomes are great travel. But you need to know, number one, who is your ideal client, right? We all have an ideal client and we're going to mesh with them way better. So you need to think about who is my ideal client. And the one thing that I will tell you is the very first thing that I say when somebody asks me who my ideal client is, I say, my ideal client respects the expertise that I bring to the table and they appreciate the work that I do to make memories for them. Yep. That is number one. So if you're working with people that do not, respect you as a professional, you need to find a new room. You need to find a room of people who can look at you and actually understand the value that you bring to the table. Because every single person here brings value to the table. There's a value, but what is your value and who's your ideal client? And when you start focusing on that, that will lead you to the room. And then you get in the room and then you do what all of us did. We all found our room and our room has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a beautiful thing. But, like I said, I'm the baby. I've only been doing this 20 years. They've been doing it 40. This did not happen overnight. You have to start somewhere, but you have to start somewhere.
Am I up?
Yeah, go ahead, Angela.
Okay. Yeah. And just, segueing off of that, I think advisors don't do a good job of listening. Because we get so passionate, like we want to share all of this, like, oh my gosh, I was just at this resort and I was here and you would love this and everything. And that's hard because I'm neurospicy, so I'm always kind of chit-chatting and talking and getting excited about things. But you need to listen. And you need to, I always do a 15-minute call with people where probably 10 years ago, I didn't. It was more transactional. They'd email in, I'd email them back. And I thought, oh, if I can just do a lot of production fast and in and out, or when we were a storefront, they'd come in, they'd go out, and now we've changed so much. Like, have that 15-minute, I call it a discovery call. Get in there and just listen to what they need. You ask core questions, key questions. Where did they stay before? What do they like to do? All the things Philip said, because you are solving a problem. It's a pain point. They came to you because they couldn't solve their problem when they went out and researched it on their own. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they want to experience and feel something when they go. And what do they want to walk away with? And so if we're just blabbing off, this is so exciting, this resort's amazing, you're going to love it, we have a great relationship, that's wrong. Then you present your value. You present your value, your fees, you tell them why you're an expert, you stay very neutral. Neutral sells more than passion sells. And I think we get that mixed up. We think if we're passionate and we're showing them everything and we're showing them that we're an expert, and I hate advisors are out like, I'm out here at this property, so you don't have to. So an expert can show you. Like, the way they sell themselves is like almost so tacky, where really what you need to be is neutral, and you need to showcase and storytell, the experience, the dream, those types of things. And then you present, hey, I'm X amount of dollars to work with. If you're the right fit for us, we'd be happy to take you on. This is a two-way street. Like, you should be interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you to see if they're the right fit for your client base. Because I say this all the time on big stages, that $5,000 client will eat your heart out before a $50,000 client will, and so you start like, vetting them, and then you help make a 10-year plan with them, and you build a relationship. This is relationship building.
I love that. The 10-year plan is so key,
Right.
when you start, because we all have a list and it's in order. I love it. I'm just before I get to you, Denise, I just want to say, Philip, thank you for stressing We are salespeople, and sales is not a dirty word. We're not Herb Tarlick, for those of you who can remember WKRP, but it's, all we do is help people buy something that they want to buy, and we guide them. We're guides, so sales is not a dirty word.
Trusted advisors is my favorite. Is, when somebody asks me what I should be to them, I say I should be your trusted advisor. And when we do that, we have to realize that, in real estate, they will not paint their bathroom unless they talk to you first, right? So you're going to get those weird phone calls, but at the same time, they won't paint their bathroom until they talk to you, right? I mean, how important are you that they won't even choose a paint color, right? So that's what we want. We need to deliver that value. But no, sales is not a dirty word. We're facilitators, we're matchmakers, we are, that is what we do,
And if you're fortunate enough to work with Philip, he'll also become your therapist like me. That's a bonus, Sal, that I got becoming his friend. He's my new therapist.
Yes,
we all learn from each other.
Oh, sorry, Philip. Go ahead.
We all learn from each other. It's a beautiful, the travel industry is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Denise, I saw you do this when Philip used that we're matchmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might not be the most liked in the room for what I'm about to say, but if you are someone who is listening and you came into travel for your sole purpose of traveling on your own and doing all the free travel that you thought you could get, I would highly suggest you check yourself. And I say that with an endearing heart, because a client can smell that a mile away. And you are going to project yourself in a manner that does not serve you for growing who you are or representing the industry. And, I think you have to just look in the mirror and say, yeah, maybe I did come in this way. And I need to be more open-minded, and I need to be more a part of this industry. And being a part of this industry is diving in and being educated and realizing you don't know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. But when you collectively rally with your peers and your colleagues, you become a better leveraged travel agent. And I really believe that, only because I am seeing it out there at special trainings that are being held by our suppliers. And, we're invited to those rooms because we showed up and we created the sales. But if you start coming into those rooms because you're looking for the free FAM, and I'm not bashing FAMs because they are highly valuable when they are put to use in the correct way, then you need to step back and do a check. I really feel that's important. It's an elephant in the room, and most people are not talking about that either. But if your business is tanking, or it's going down, or it's just leveled off, you just really need to check your pulse.
Awesome. And I'm hoping that the people who are here are the ones that you're describing on the other side. I'm training, I attend supplier training, I'm focused. I know that this isn't overnight success. Like, how many times did you guys look in the mirror and go, no, I thought it would be easier?
Well, that's because most people don't have a business development plan when they come in. They start training, they start onboarding, they think getting in front of vendors and train, a vendor training with product. They've never sat down to write a business development plan, and nobody starts a business without that. But travel advisors do because they don't know. It's easy entry, and once you have a solid business plan, please go Google business development plan. Something will pop up. Start filling that out and really thinking about what your goals are, what your terms are, how you're going to invest, how you're going to grow and develop, what tools are you going to use. BranchUp is a good one. I mean, they're sponsoring this as a perfect tool to put in your toolbox right away. But again, it's an investment in systems, tools, processes. You need to know what your finances are. You need to know what your business development plan is. And if you don't have that, which I would suggest probably 99% of this industry, it coming in does not, you need to do that.
Yeah, I echo that 100%. I think it makes, if you're going to have success, you got to have it in any facet of life, right? It's kind of even whatever we do in life. But I think there's value to be had when we know we can be in the trenches together and piggyback off of one another and score higher when we collectively are united in our education, in our goals, in being on today's webinar. BranchUp has served me exponentially. I cannot believe how it's a grand slam. I just smile from ear to ear because services like BranchUp are doing the work for you while you sleep. Like, it's a touch point that you don't even have to think about. You can preset it with your own specialty things if you want, or you can just let it run with what you want. It's such a bonus that I can't imagine not using the service now, from all the fun stuff that has been created from the reels and so forth. People are like, I saw that blah, blah, blah supplier. Like, I'm interested. You've been talking about it for months. Okay, enough's enough. We're going on it now,
Well, Denise, I'm so glad that you brought that up about the reels, because this is really interesting. If you look at the most recent data, and I'm talking like yesterday, it is showing that influencing now is what is driving sales in travel. Every vendor's saying it, so people are scrolling, they're looking, they're being influenced by 6 and 8 second media now. And so the way that we're digesting travel looks different than how we were doing it a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Short video is just thriving. And you look at it, you look at Instagram. I mean, it used to be like you didn't go to Greece, to Mykonos or Santorini till you were 55 years old. Now you've got every 17-year-old hanging off a cliff in a flowing dress, right? And they're asking their parents like, oh, we want to go to Sardinia. And like, most of you didn't even know where Sardinia was on a map 5 years ago. And now, but they're seeing it, and they're seeing this village in the middle of nowhere in Bhutan. And, and so that's the beauty of growing your influence, because that's a way that we're shifting in travel. And short video, short reels, that's why I, love the BranchUp product so much, is because it's beautiful. Like, the reels are so beautiful. And again, and I think Philip said this, like, he's over there in, France, and he doesn't have to worry about whether or not he's influencing people. He can share his experiences, but he's showcasing other beautiful places, and people are attracted to that.
Awesome. Thank you for those plugs. Those are unsolicited.
That wasn't solicited. Data.
That's right, John. We need to tell them that BranchUp has a plan for you, because you guys really do go very deep into. Y'all are thoughtful about what we're putting out there for everybody, and it's not a formal plan, necessarily, but it is a plan. And if you don't have a plan, it's a great place to start, right? Angela's ASTA workshop that I attended, she started out by saying, how many of you have a plan? And everybody was like, oh, and she talked about our successes in business. And we were both lucky in that we knew that we needed a plan, and it made all the difference. And, when we talk about this, and, when I think about Denise, we all have plans. We're planners, but we also set goals. And if you think about it, if the top 1% of earners in our planet all have written, the thing they have in common is they have written goals. It's not very much different than having a written plan. So if you want to be in that top 5%, you need to have a written plan. And you can start it by starting your BranchUp, looking what's working and what's not, and building off of that to help you build your marketing plan.
And I'm going to say one quick thing. Just be consistent. What if you don't want to be in the 5%? What if you are just starting out and you're feeling like, oh man, I can't be all of these things? Because you're looking at a lot of years of growth with this panel right here. So I want to talk for just 2.5 seconds to somebody that just joined in the last year or two. And I'm going to say one word: consistency. It's showing up and being consistent every day about what you're doing. You'll succeed.
Yeah, I'll piggyback. Let's add resilient. Be resilient. Consistently resilient.
And then quit and go work at Home Goods, because some days we want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. But truly, if you are listening and you're you know, maybe feeling a little down because, you know, you haven't heard from a client or you haven't had a client in several weeks, we're here to tell you, we're trying to convey to you that you have the ability to do it. If you have that burning desire, if you have that passion, if you stepped into this arena to be a professional travel agent, there are the tools and there are the resources and there are the people, the community, the industry, the events here for you. If you don't know where to tap into those, you need to ask. You don't just wait for it to come to you or to be offered to you from your owner or whoever it might be, because there's a variety of people on here, independents, those who are independent, and those who are, you know, on salary and so forth. So you just have to know where to ask. If you don't know where to ask, I'd say start with ASTA, okay? American Society of Travel Advisors. I used to work there many moons ago, and you know, we were a golden association. We've only gotten better as time has gone on, and it is the voice of the travel advisor. So you could always go there. I'm not saying you have to have the membership, but if you start investing and looking at organizations that are in this industry that are solid, you will start getting somewhere.
Awesome.
I'm gonna let you interrupt us, John, but I want to say one thing, because both of you talked about your new people, and literally I was on mute a second ago because Scott is sitting next to me. He's my newest associate, and he was like, "Are you on mute?" And I was on mute, and he goes, "I got that guy, that client that I told you about, off of my branch app. He's 6 weeks in the business. The first thing he did was go in and set up his branch app, and like me, when I started branch up within a short amount of time, I had that sale, right?" And it's like the same thing happened to him. So, you know, just quit being afraid and just go do it.
Do it.
Awesome. Just a quick check-in. Do we have any questions in the chat as we're about 1:45?
We do have a couple questions that we can get to, but please feel free to continue the conversation.
Okay, fantastic. I want to pick up on this business development thread. One of the things that I've experienced in the past, and I think it's just human nature, we get hung up on, I need more training, more training, more training, more training, and it's very important. But what you talked about, getting in the room being the most important piece. And Philip, you have a great story about, you know, Image Tours. It's like, I had no idea about the product, but I'm smart enough to know that I can go find it. Just give me the lead. And what we talked about earlier, it's right, asking the questions. Well, what are you interested in? That. Da, 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 da. So let's. How do we narrow the focus of what you've described as business development? Yes, the other trainings are very important, but we can't let it derail the activity of business development.
I'll tell you, Angela, when I was sitting in her workshop a few weeks ago at ASTA, I remembered something that I used to do that I frequently tell my associates to do, but I don't necessarily put it in their plan, and I've changed my mind and I'm going back to doing it. And when I started out in real estate, I had what I called 10-a-days, and I had a sheet of paper that had 5 or 10 squares 5 days a week. And I would literally sit down with my Rolodex back then, you know, with wherever your names are, and write down people that you've not spoken to recently, and put 10 names in every day, 5 days a week. Give yourself the weekend off. And then you literally sit down and you call those 10 people. And if you don't get them, then you leave them a message, right? But every time you talk to somebody, you put a little star by that person, okay? And that means you have one contact. I am pretty sure that if you do that every single day, 5 days a week for 6 weeks, you will discover, like almost everybody else in the business, that you have probably a 1 to 10 conversion rate. So if you can actually talk to 10 people live, you will convert 1 to a customer. So then you just start doing the math. How many people do I need to talk to? A lot of people that I know call it prospecting. They sit down every morning, they block off 2 hours of time, and they just start calling people that they know. But everybody on the planet knows 250 people. You just may not know you need to know them. And so you sit down and you start writing it down and making notes, and then charting your progress. How many of those contacts did I have to make to get a sale? Then you know how many you need to do every day. If you want to have a sale every day, you may have to call 50 people, but you're only going to talk to 10. and one of them is going to buy something, right? So it's not rocket science. It's just rolling up your sleeves and doing the work.
Yeah, Jocko Willink has a great little clip. Discipline, freedom. Discipline equals freedom. Motivation is fickle. You're not going to wake up every day being motivated, but discipline will get you there.
Yeah, I would just say, being challenged is inevitable. Being defeated is optional. So just, decide how you want to proceed forward. Get out of a rut if you're in a rut. Get yourself in a good space where you're really happy about the profession that you've chosen, and that you are the expert in the room, or that you're growing to be the expert in the room, and that you're reaching out. And one of the benefits I've had in doing church mission groups, they are usually 40, 50, 60, 70 travelers. And I have had continuous business for over 14 years from mission groups, because then they come and they're like, you serviced us so well, for the church. Well, could you do this trip for us, and so forth. So you may have literally in your backyard untapped things that you never even thought happened that you could have, whether it's, a certain sport, or a certain church group, or a certain community group, or dogs. Again, find that passion that you have and insert yourself, because that will be part of your business plan and moving you forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Angela, anything that you would want to add to that idea of starting with what I'll call your circle of influence? People from church, sports teams, kids events, da 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 da. And anything you would add to trying to build your list that Philip talked about?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, when we talk about growing influence, I think we think like we need to grow this this crowd. Like, part of growing your influence is being genuinely real with people. That means you're engaged with people, you're creating a relationship with people, you're there for them. Those are your best customers, friends, everything. I mean, sales is not two ways. Or sales is two ways. You're doing something for somebody and hoping for something in return, but at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't be trying to influence people every single day in a sales mode. We need to show people like know, like, and trust. Like, they need to know who we are as a person. Do we have integrity? Do we have a good family? Do we have good moral standings? Like, what do we believe in? Too many times I think we go out and just try to sell, but we don't engage with real people and create a relationship with people. Those relationships is sometimes not the client. Sometimes the client is somebody else. So I think the thing is, at the end of the day, we need to always be like, okay, I want to be my best person. I'm going to engage. I'm going to get to know people. I'm going to invest in people. And that will get you farther than building any type of influence through any type of product or social media or anything, is investing in real people and caring about people. I think it's that simple. And then, yeah, I do want to say on the business development plan, that is more about, how you're going to run things, where you're going to invest, how you're going to do things, where's the money going to come for this piece of the project, and so forth. But engaging, being real, being honest, being trustworthy, having integrity, you're going to shine better than anybody. I don't care. Everybody knows a greasy salesman. Everybody knows a person that sells too much, too many knives or whatever. We don't want to be selling things. We want to be influencing people to be better, live a better
Absolutely.
life.
And I think one of the key skills that we always need to work on is active listening. And
oh my gosh,
not preparing our answer while they're talking.
Next question. Yeah.
I think it's important, John, to think about, because I know these ladies and they're beasts, right? Like, you want to have their work ethic, right? But I also will say that they both give back. Angela is out there, Denise is out there, they are giving back to our community, and they are saying, this is what I have to offer. And the cool thing about it is, then somebody walks up and says, thank you so much for offering that to me and for teaching me today how to be better at this. Have you ever thought about this? Because, you know, when we talk, we mention our struggles, and it's, you know, it's almost every time that I get up in front of a group of people that somebody comes up and said, hey, you mentioned that you struggle with this. Have you ever tried that? And so one of the great things about us being able to be out there and give back in that venue is that we get, you know, something from that as well. You know, we learn, I go see Angela speak and I'm like, I should be using this. I haven't used that in years. You know, we remind each other. So we help each other become better. And so, you know, being able to give back to your immediate community or your trade is super, super important as well. You can't just expect to take from it, because you just won't get where you want to be if you're just taking.
Awesome. Angela, I want to throw this last couple of minutes to you before we wrap up. So we started with 6 weeks ago, it was kind of cloudy and rainy. Now the sun seems to have broken out. There's a bit of a rainbow. Tell us a little bit about what you heard at Travel Leaders.
Yeah, and I don't know so much if we're clearly in the rainbow. I mean, let's be honest, that we are still in a political and economic turmoil right now in terms of political geography and also tariffs and stock market bouncing around. We are seeing a lift though in travel economics, I think, because we quickly forget. People are not going to sit still very long. But where we're really moving is in the premium or higher market. I mean, we're seeing really high business class fares. I always fly business, and I'm even choosing to go premium select right now. I'm just not going to pay $8,000 to go to Europe, you know, at $1,000 an hour when I can fly premium. So I've even seen myself cut down, and I'm probably on the road every other week somewhere amazing. What we're seeing is, you know, premium and higher buying. Now we've got two issues here. We also have this onset of artificial intelligence that we've had for 4 years that is really going to take out advisors who don't bring value to the table. So this is your warning, kids, is that you need to be the human value, because, you know, humans bring value. Don't forget that. I mean, we love everything we can do in artificial intelligence, but the human's always going to be better than the AI. That's going to affect the economy as well. We're seeing jobs just getting displaced by that. We're seeing economic dollars being spent. So the trends are that travel is moving, and we're seeing everything lifted across the consortiums. I'm seeing it at Travel Leaders. We're hearing it at other networks across the board. People are reporting that. Cruise lines are having banner sales. But again, the focus right now, you need to elevate your clientele to be premium and higher space. A lot of people are going to be suffering in the lower markets because we're battling recession and inflation, and that's just what it is. And do I sound like a key economic advisor right now? Yes, I am. Thank you. But that's the truth.
Yeah, but I love it, you know, because a bunch of what I heard earlier was genuinely be genuine, authenticity, be the human touch, be the, you know, do what you can to become the expert, as Phil talked about, but the reason people want to speak to you. And that will keep travel advisors indispensable for the long-term future.
AI will cut out people who do not know their worth, do not know what they're talking about. If you're relying on AI because you don't know how to do a Europe trip, geez, you just got sliced out. You need to elevate and scale really quickly now, kids, because, you know, this is moving very rapidly, the way we're diagnosing, or, you know, the way we're processing information now, and we're going to see it quicker than ever. So
Right. So I don't have to you know, focus so much on things that are accessible to me for information. I need to focus on the people who are accessible to me. Yeah, wonderful. Any closing thoughts or other questions that have come in from the chat?
Yeah, unfortunately, this conversation has been so incredible. We are at the end of our hour, so unfortunately, we will not be able to get to any of the questions, but I do want to thank Philip, Angela, John, Denise. What an amazing conversation. I love listening to so much of it. I mean, so many things that you said were just really so on point, and Just a reminder, we did record this for everyone because I'm sure you're all going to want to go back and listen to this conversation again. There was a lot of great things in there. I do want to take one quick moment to congratulate the winner of the $300 gift card. Congratulations to Pamela Germ, excuse me. You will hear from the TMR team shortly with details. But again, thank you to all 4 of you folks. What an amazing, amazing conversation that was. Thanks so much for your time.
Always
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
for hosting us. Thank you, audience.
And thank you again for all the advisors that joined us for this last hour. We appreciate you sticking with us. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.